and instantly I feel better.
I wanted to ask you a little bit. You've been very careful to kind of temper your expectations over in the stock car, and you know, continually remind people this is still a few races into it. And it kind of goes with what Bruce was saying. How about that comfort level of getting into the IndyCar where you're like, I'm going to win the race. You know, I'm going to run up front, and anything less than that is not acceptable. And just if you could talk about being able to do that while you're here in the IndyCars.
Well, I think that there's also a time in the IndyCar series too to have expectation levels, so that so that I find myself in a good mood all weekend. You know, I think for me, going to oval races, that is definitely the goal. And it's definitely the goal on road courses as well. But there are so many good drivers that I think once you get into the top tier of speed, anything can happen, but it's hard to get there. So, you know, for me, the goal will be getting out of the first round of qualifying and getting into the top 12. I think that should be a goal for mine this weekend and for me. And then to just let the race run. I mean, I've never really been fast here, unfortunately, but I've had okay results. I've had 6th, 7th, so it's not like my results have been awful, but you know, and then just seeing what comes to me in the race. But I don't know. It's always been a track position kind of a series on road courses because it's difficult to pass. But perhaps with some new rules like they are, and with the double foul restart, that maybe some things will be different, and maybe there'll be some opportunities to make more passing happen, which would be great. Which is great, and hence the reason why I think it's a good decision to do that. Yeah, well, she was just asking in specific to the whole season in IndyCar versus NASCAR, and yeah, I mean, I guess that is what I expect, is to run up front every weekend, and so with that kind of a goal, maybe perhaps you're a little more disappointed more often, because if the goal is to win, there's not that many people that win every weekend. I mean, it's just that hard. So, but that is the expectation, and you have to work really hard for it, more than ever now in the IndyCar series. So that's why I think you have to almost break down each weekend and assess how it starts and create some goals for yourself.
Kurt, you mentioned good mood or bad mood. Are you in good mood today? Has this been a good start to your season?
Yeah, I think it's been a really good start. Obviously, the NASCAR results have been pretty good, and IndyCar testing has gone really well, I think, for me too. In the beginning of the season, last year was tough. I mean, my first lap out at Sebring last year, I spun. I mean, that was just how my year started last year. So this year it's been much more competitive, much closer. So I think that overall the whole year has started off really well.
And this first start of the season, given all the enthusiasm people have, you certainly won't be. You wouldn't think you'd be first or second going into the first corner. Do you expect to be cautious, or do you think it's going to be a sea of aggressiveness?
On the first restart or on the first start? Either. Well, I think what we have is we have a lot of new combinations, and we have quite a few new drivers. So I think there's probably a likelihood for some cautions and quite a few starts and restart. Well, there's only going to be one start. There's going to be quite a few restarts. So there's two sides to that. I think it depends on what kind of a car you have. Can you pass during the race or not? Is it all going to happen on restarts? Do you have to make it up then? Are you confident in your car on cold tires? So, but I mean, I think that you really do have to go for it. But if you go for it every single time, there's the likelihood of having something happen is definitely there. So it doesn't matter how hard you try. You could be P1 going into the first corner, but if you run out of whatever it is that you need to make the corner, then it just doesn't really matter anymore. So you just have to be intelligent about it and get to the finish, and just be aware of what's around you and pick your time.
So where is the party? And do you like celebrating birthdays at racetracks, or would you prefer to be somewhere else, something like this?
Do I like celebrating my birthday at the racetrack? No, not really. I mean, I think anybody'd probably want a weekend off to celebrate their birthday, but you know, I get to celebrate a lot of the year, and I celebrate for all kinds of occasions, not just birthdays. So, what was your first part of your question?
Where's the party?
Where's the party? Unfortunately, and that's probably part of the second answer, was that there is no party, because I'll be driving tomorrow. So I think my husband might take me out to dinner, but that's about it. He, yeah, you know, I get some cards, and kindly enough, everybody is, a lot of people have wished me happy birthday, so it's always very nice. Attention's not a bad thing. It doesn't make you feel bad, so I might feel a little worse at 30 when they tell me that, though. If I keep on that, you guys are just going to get mad at me, I think. I'm used to being young. I remember days when I was the youngest driver all the time. No matter what I did, I was the youngest, and that's just not the case anymore.
Danica, when you started...
I am? Oh, well, that helps.
When you started the NASCAR thing, how did your off-season conditioning, did it change? Did you have to do things differently in the off-season, knowing that you're running both series?
As far as what?
Did you have to change your workout routines or anything like that, your conditioning for running both series?
No. Nope. I mean, that's kind of the simple short answer, but IndyCars are really physical, and so, you know, it's not like I've raced NASCAR and then going to IndyCar. IndyCars are very physical, and they don't have power steering, and they're rough, and they're lots of road course racing, so no, that's sort of the hardest thing that I do. So I've always worked to achieve the physical fitness level that I need to race IndyCars, so this is year number 7.
So the NASCAR guys would have to work out if they jumped over?
I think it's just a different, I mean, yeah, it's, you know, there's not power steering, so, you know, physically they are hard to drive. There's a lot more G-force in the corner, which is pushing against you, and the car's just snappier, and you got to be on your toes a lot. And it's not like you don't have to be on your toes there, but just stuff's going on all the time in an Indy car, and especially because we race on road courses so much. I mean, ovals, they're more just keep your foot down. And in a stock car, you know, you have to brake a lot and things like that, so you're kind of jockeying around in the car a little bit more with the throttle and the brake and steering. But the lateral load plays a big role in the physical demand.
Dwight Trump, RaceState.com. As far as compared to, on the subject of the IndyCar and then the NASCAR, the stock car, could you, to kind of relate to fans, what was the most difficult thing for you to do when you overcame like a wow moment with an IndyCar, and then with likewise with a stock car? Is there something that you say,
I really wish it was that simple. Wish there was an aha moment, but there's not. You just have to keep driving, and you just have to keep getting more experience, and you have to keep working hard and asking a lot of questions. And no matter what, I'm always open to suggestions from people, whether I'm driving an IndyCar or a stock car. I think I find myself looking for a lot more answers from other people in the stock car because I have a lot less experience. But no, they both are challenging.
Danica, I was over near your pit earlier and in the paddock, and I saw a whole lot of people holding nationwide stock cars for you to autograph, and people with a lot of T-shirts of you and a stock car on it. You're so popular anyway in the IndyCar series. Is there any way for you to tell? Do you feel like there's a whole other group of people following you? Does it feel like the fandom is even bigger now that you've had the whole exposure in NASCAR? Do you notice anything like that?
Perhaps. You know, there's just like there's IndyCar dedicated fans, there are dedicated NASCAR fans, and then there's a whole lot of just race fans. So, you know, I guess I'm doing a little bit of both to kind of serve whatever fans, you know, taste buds, I guess, which series they like. But I don't know. I generally find that you know, you can't tell if they're one fan or the other necessarily, but yeah, I mean the excitement level. There's a whole lot of NASCAR fans. There's a whole lot of races, and there's a whole lot of markets, and there's a whole lot of you know, a couple million people watch every weekend. So, yeah, I mean, I suppose there's more awareness now too for those who perhaps maybe didn't follow the IndyCar series very closely, maybe that do follow NASCAR closely. They have had the chance to be able to get to know me through media and through interviews and my on-track driving, and found a reason to like me or not like me.
Danica, how important do you think it is, here in the back, how important do you think it is for IndyCar to come to places like St. Petersburg that really only have access or exposure to racing one time a year, like when we have the Grand Prix?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's, the first thing that comes to mind with a venue like this is that it's very good for entertaining and for sponsors and for, you know, having your, you know, your partners come out to the track and be able to be a part of it and really see and feel the sport. I think it's, there are race fans probably, you know, there's race fans in every city, so if there's no racing here, then maybe it draws more people out than you would have. Then on the other side of that, if there's not much racing here, then there's less reason to follow it because it's not around that much. But I don't know, I guess what I think is that the bigger the city, the harder it is to get people out because there's so much going on for those people anyway. You know, you live in a big city and there's just a lot more options. And then we go to a little town in Iowa and everybody comes out because there's a lot less going on. So I guess that's what I feel like. I feel like you go, the bigger the city, the harder it is. And, you know, that goes towards, you know, the series trying to get into big markets like LA or New York or places like that or Chicago. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if that would work. I mean, I don't know.
We have time for one more question.
I just wanted to follow up on a question you got a couple of minutes ago. You seem to be saying that IndyCar is more physically demanding. Is it possible that the NASCAR circuit is any more mentally or emotionally demanding just because the top end, you know, like you said, your foot is always on the floor, you're always at 180. It's...
In an IndyCar, you're always at 220.
Not always though, right? There's a lot of turns, like you said, a lot of street courses. You guys have
when your foot's down and you're averaging 220, you're pretty much at 220. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to punish you in front of everyone. There are definitely, for sure, different challenges for both series. The discipline, so the mental side of a stock car is pretty high. Those cars don't stay the same. The line doesn't stay the same. The car is constantly changing. You have to be disciplined to make sure that you don't brake at the point that you normally brake as the tires go off more and more, and you have to make sure that when it gets to the center of the corner and it's starting to understeer up or push up the track, I'm saying both words, you know, you can't hustle it. You can't overdrive those cars. You will go slower. So the discipline, the mental discipline of stepping back to go faster is pretty hard. That's a big challenge in those cars. So, and you are very much on the edge in those cars too, because they just have a lot more movement, and so you got to get comfortable with the car being a little bit looser and things like that. So there's just and the races are long, to be honest. I mean, they're not that much different than an IndyCar race, at least the nationwide's not, but you're going slower, as we talked about. So you're not, you know, the race takes longer and there tends to be more yellow flags as well. So, you know, just keeping your head in the game for 3.5 hours instead of 2.5 hours or 2 hours, or shoot, sometimes 90 minutes, you know, that's a challenge as well. So I'm not taking away from either one, they just have different challenges.
Okay. Thank you. Our next on-track session is at 3 p.m.
Thank you.